Sponsors are in a panic. Boardrooms are filling. Emergency meetings are being scheduled at midnight. Phones are vibrating in pockets that usually stay silent. Because Alex Eala didn't simply arrive on the international tennis scene, she detonated onto it. And when Roger Federer, the greatest tennis genius of his generation, quietly pointed at a 20-year-old girl from the Philippines and declared, "I want her," the industry froze. That single sentence set off a chain reaction now rippling through the most powerful corporations in global sports. Behind ironclad contracts, inside sealed conference rooms, and across encrypted calls, billion-dollar brands are now locked in combat. All for one signature. Hers. This isn't just about shoes, rackets, or apparel. This is a cultural earthquake, a power struggle, and a generational moment that could permanently reshape women's tennis. And at the center of it all stands a young woman from Quezon City, balancing destiny, wealth, and legacy. Stay with Tennis Pulp, because what unfolds next will forever change the way you see Alex Eala. Only poverty-adjacent dreaming can create a certain type of hunger. A bone-deep, unrelenting determination that comes not from privilege, but from understanding the true cost of failure. Not the manufactured ambition of affluence, but the raw drive of survival and belief. With every swing, every sprint, every recovery step, Alex Eala carries that hunger. Born Andrea Eala and raised in Quezon City, she grew up in a family that valued discipline, humility, and sacrifice. Tennis wasn't a luxury, it was a risk, a gamble. Her parents had no blueprint for creating a world-class athlete. They only had belief and courage. So they made a decision that would change their lives forever. They sent their teenage daughter halfway across the world to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain. Pause for a moment and let that sink in. A young Filipino girl, thousands of miles from home, immersed among Europe's elite juniors, training daily under one of the most demanding systems in the sport. Financed partly by institutional belief and partly by family sacrifice, she wasn't just surviving those brutal sessions. She was thriving. Tournament by tournament, continent by continent, ranking point by ranking point, she climbed. By 2025, the slow burn became an explosion. At the Miami Open, Alex Eala announced herself to the world in breathtaking fashion. She didn't just compete, she dismantled. Higher-ranked opponents fell one after another as analysts leaned forward, stunned by her tactical intelligence, explosive backhand, court coverage, and icy composure under pressure. Her ability to reset mentally after losing points stood out, as much as her physical brilliance. These weren't flashes of youthful luck. These were the fingerprints of elite development. Broadcast networks replayed her winners in slow motion. Commentators struggled to explain how a player outside the top 30 was producing such mature tennis, and social media erupted. Filipino fans flooded platforms, while international audiences scrambled to learn her story. In less than 2 weeks, Alex transformed from promising prospect to impending force. And perception, once shifted that dramatically, creates shockwaves far beyond the court. Inside the world of sports sponsorship, chaos erupted. Agents rescheduled flights. Executives canceled board meetings to attend new ones. Marketing strategists pulled demographic projections, cross-referenced Southeast Asian market data, and quietly realized something staggering. A nation of over 100 million people, intensely loyal to athletes who carry their flag, had just found its tennis icon. And in Switzerland, a man who understands transcendent tennis genius perhaps better than anyone alive began watching very closely. Roger Federer. Federer is remembered for his elegance, his 20 Grand Slam titles, and his emotional farewell that made grown adults weep. But fewer people grasped the strategic force he became after retirement. When he invested in and partnered with On Running, a Swiss performance footwear brand, he didn't simply lend his name. He reshaped its identity. What began as a niche running shoe company became a luxury athletic empire. By 2021, On Running's IPO valued the company at over $11 billion. Federer's influence wasn't cosmetic. He selected athletes who embodied quiet excellence, precision, and grace under pressure. When On signed Iga Swiatek, it signaled dominance in women's tennis. When they pursued Ben Shelton, they showed youth appeal. Each signing followed a pattern: technical brilliance, cultural magnetism, and global commercial reach. Alex Eala fits that blueprint almost too perfectly. Technically gifted, tactically mature, and representing a massive untapped market in Southeast Asia, she became the embodiment of On Running's expansion strategy. But there was something deeper. Alex had spoken openly, repeatedly about her admiration for Roger Federer. Not performative celebrity worship, but genuine respect for his artistry and professionalism. She credited his influence on her approach to the game, his balance between aggression and elegance. Now imagine your idol choosing you, not responding to your praise, but proactively declaring belief in your future. That dynamic creates something far beyond a business transaction. It creates a story. And in modern sports, stories are currency. Yet Federer and On Running were not alone. Nike had been watching long before Miami. Their talent pipeline had tracked Alex's rise through juniors. Their analysts understood the Filipino market's emotional engagement. Their strategists knew women's tennis needed a new global face. Internally, Nike categorized her as a franchise athlete, not an ambassador, not an endorser, a franchise. The difference is monumental. Franchise athletes become the pillars of brand identity. Michael Jordan didn't just wear Nike, he became Nike. Serena Williams redefined women's sport marketing. LeBron James expanded it into cultural empire. According to multiple business reports, Nike's proposal for Alex approached $50 million over several years. For a 20-year-old still climbing the rankings, that figure was staggering. But it reflected something crucial. They weren't valuing her current ranking. They were valuing her trajectory. Then Federer entered the picture, and suddenly, Nike felt urgency. Meetings multiplied, offers evolved, timelines compressed. The swoosh, once synonymous with relaxed dominance, now moved at breakneck speed. Because Federer's On Running offered something Nike structurally could not: the direct mentorship and personal involvement of the sport's most revered figure. For a young athlete raised on Federer's highlights, no financial number could fully replace that. And this shift revealed a hidden truth. Alex Eala possessed extraordinary leverage. Most young athletes never reach this negotiating position. Competitive excellence, cultural resonance, authentic public image, and now, Federer's personal interest had converged. The result was unprecedented bargaining power. Then came the internet storm. Viral posts claimed Wilson Sporting Goods had offered $45 million upfront. Others insisted Federer personally guaranteed $20 million in cash. Screenshots circulated, headlines multiplied. None of it was verified. No credible journalist confirmed these figures. But the frenzy itself revealed something remarkable. In communities starved for global representation, hope amplifies rumor. The idea of a Filipino woman threatening tennis supremacy carried emotional gravity. People wanted the stories to be true. And in that desire, brands saw something priceless: devotion. Engagement metrics soared. Nike's analysts studied the numbers. On Running strategists saw organic loyalty impossible to manufacture. Alex Eala wasn't just popular, she was personal. Her victories felt communal. Her journey felt ancestral. And that connection transformed her from athlete into symbol. Yet amid the noise, Alex herself remained grounded. In interview after interview, she returned to one principle: impact, not money. She spoke about building accessible courts in underserved Filipino neighborhoods, about funding training programs for talented children lacking resources, about constructing real developmental pathways so future athletes wouldn't need extraordinary luck to reach elite levels. This consistency across years and platforms exposed sincerity. Any sponsor pursuing her would need to align with those values. Because for Alex, partnership meant responsibility. Nike could offer infrastructure, academies, scholarships. They had the scale. But Federer's philosophy, embedded within On Running, emphasized collaboration, mentorship, and legacy. The convergence of Alex's mission and Federer's ideology created a powerful resonance, an authenticity impossible to fake. In an era where audiences detect insincerity instantly, athletes who sacrifice money for meaning gain immeasurable cultural capital. Should Alex choose impact over income, she wouldn't simply be a champion. She would become a generational icon. And that is why this story transcends business. It becomes history. Because whoever signs Alex Eala doesn't just gain a spokesperson. They inherit a movement, a narrative of national pride, perseverance, and legacy building. Federer has long believed that great athletes are philosophers in motion. In Alex, he may have discovered the purest embodiment of that belief. But zoom out even further, because Alex Eala is not the end of this transformation. she may be the beginning. The future of women's tennis in Asia stands on the edge of revolution. Infrastructure will follow. Opportunity will multiply. Representation will expand. Federer versus Nike was never the true story. The real story is what happens when talent, purpose, and timing converge. And in that convergence, the world witnesses the rise of something far greater than a sponsorship deal. So now the question remains, will Alex Eala stay with Nike? Or will she step into Federer's vision with On Running? Leave your prediction below. Subscribe to Tennis Pulp for stories the mainstream media won't tell. Because the next chapter is even bigger than this one.